Good afternoon, everybody. It is so brilliant to have so many of you with us this evening. My name's Louise, and I have the great pleasure of working at CLPE, and you are all here this afternoon to hear the shortlist of the 20th CLiPPA Award. So CLiPPA is a poetry award. It's the only award for children's poetry in the UK, and each year we ask we ask 5 poets who we think have done the most amazing job in terms of their children's poetry to come along and to take part in our CLiPPA Award. So they are the shortlist for the CLiPPA, and one of them, and I'm going to sneeze. I'm so sorry. It's a really, really polleny day. Those of you who've got hay fever like me will know that. And we asked those poets to come along today, but we don't know who they are just yet. And so you're going to find out exactly who they are this afternoon. So before I sneeze again, I'm going to hand over to Chris Riddell, and Chris Riddell is our chair of judges. So he is the person who was like the chief of all the people who had to decide which 5 poetry books would be part of the CLiPPA shortlist. So Chris.
Louise, thank you. I'm not going to sneeze. I hope I won't sneeze. It was an amazing experience judging the CLiPPA Poetry Prize, and I've got to say, the number of books that we went through was wonderful, and I think actually that we're in a golden age for children's poetry, and we've got a shortlist for you of some wonderful, wonderful poets. And I've got to say, you know, judging is difficult. It can be full of thumped tables and teacups sort of shattering and voices raised. It can be really tough judging poetry, but in fact, this was a delight. And we were, as judges, completely unanimous. So it was a lovely, lovely experience. So what I would like to do now is announce the shortlist and have each of the poets read from their collections. And I'll start with a favourite of mine. This is Blow a Kiss by Waterston Children's Laureate Joseph Coelho, illustrated by Nicola Killen. And we thought, as judges, that this was a well-written, carefully considered first collection for the very young, full of poems which catch and reflect their emotions. And we just loved the feel and the sophistication in the poems for a very young audience.
Thank you so much for that, Chris. I'm going to share a poem from Blow a Kiss, Catch a Kiss. It was so much fun writing this collection. I was very aware that there's not many new collections of poems with kind of actions for babies and for little ones, and for things that they are familiar with, like using screens or going to the shops. So I wanted to create a collection where the kids can get involved with lots of actions using their faces and their hands, but also to talk about things that they might be a bit more familiar with. I'm going to pick a poem, read a poem for you called Take a Book from the Shelf, which has got these beautiful illustrations by Nicola Killen here. And it goes like this. Take a book from the shelf and flip to the sea. I'm a pirate captain, aye aye mateys. Take a book from the shelf and flip to the woods. I'm a bear eating honey. This honey is good. Take a book from the shelf and flip to the stars. I'm zooming through space. Next stop, Mars. Take a book from the shelf and flip through the pages. Get lost in adventures for ages and ages.
I can hear applause. Joseph, that was lovely. What a wonderful, wonderful reading. Now, next, on the shortlist is a wonderful book called Marshmallow Clouds. And it is, we felt this was a beautifully crafted verse, a book that demonstrates that good poetry for children transcends age barriers, an absolute visual delight. Really looking forward to hearing a poem read all the way from Minnesota. And here is Connie to read from Marshmallow Clouds.
Okay, thank you so much. We are so delighted to be included in this illustrious group, and especially all the way from America, because as you know, England has the best poets. But we concentrated in our book on the value of metaphor and simile and the use of the imagination, encouraging children to use their imagination at a time when they're the freest and the most open. And I went into my granddaughter's classroom last week. She's 8 years old, and it couldn't have been more wonderful to see how much they enjoyed the process of creating metaphors. And I wanted to read a poem from our book, Marshmallow Clouds, called Fireplace. And in this poem, the fireplace, or the fire, becomes an animal. Fireplace. We keep our fire safe in a playpen where we feed it, mostly leftovers from the woods. And fire is a good eater, tasting everything. It can grow quickly, gnawing on each new log. Then, like a happy wolf pup, it howls. It has no stomach, though, so fire is never full, never satisfied. That's why, no matter how much it begs, we must never set it free. Thank you so much.
Connie, thank you. That was lovely. And in my mind, I can just see outside Connie's window a marshmallow cloud floating past. Lovely. Now, next on our shortlist is Let's Chase Stars Together by Matt Goodfellow. And what we loved about this is it's a book that fully considers its audience. And Matt explores the power of poetry to make sense of children's experiences in the poems. And we felt they were heartfelt and moving, but also, and this is no surprise from Matt, very funny.
Hello, how you doing? It's great to be here. It's always fantastic to be on the shortlist. I'm going to read you a poem called In Another Life, which is kind of about things that you see as you're going about your life. In another life. In another life, the nice old lady in the plastic rain bonnet who smiles as we pass on the crossing might have been my best friend. Might have understood my complexities in a way no other human being ever could, and stood shoulder to shoulder with me as we navigated the peaks and troughs of our turbulent lives. And yet all we get is a smile. In another life, Sophie, with the sparkling suntan and perfect dive from holiday last year, might have been my older sister, might naturally have taught myself how to carry the same understated confidence, but coincidence was against us, and now I find her outline quietly fades from my mind. So many other lives passing by, so many here and gone. The size of it all astounds me. The fact my only one is right now. And it's not like I'm unhappy with it. I'm not. And yeah, I'm aware some think there's more than one, but it ain't for me, to be fair. And I don't know, it just makes me sad sometimes, you know, as though a part of me grieves for all the lives that slide on by, the lives I'll never lead.
That was wonderful. Thanks for that, Matt. Really lovely. Now, next we have Choose Love by Nicola Davies, illustrated by Petr Horáček. Choose Love provides insight into the real-life experiences of refugees forced to leave their homes to face an unknown future. We felt that this was an angry, compassionate, campaigning collection written from the heart. So, Nicola, please read a poem from this wonderful collection.
Thank you. I can't tell you what a thrill it is to be shortlisted for a poetry prize. I've always wanted to be able to put the word poet on my passport, and I think this might finally have earned me that honour. So my aim with this poetry collection is to do one of the things that poetry is really good at, which is getting right into people's hearts and making a change there. And poetry can do so many things, but making people think, making people feel, and starting a change in the world is one of the things it does absolutely brilliantly. And so I'm going to read the shortest poem in the book, which is actually the title poem. Welcome, the traveller from the distant land, with his unfamiliar face, with her language you don't understand. She is yourself, he is your kin. One day, you too will have to leave without warning or goodbyes to travel to an unknown country. So choose love now, while you still can.
Nicola, thank you. That was very powerful. Now, the final book on our shortlist was These Are the Words by Nikita Gill. Nikita's collection features poems of rage, consolation, solidarity, hope, and love. And it's a book that readers will hold to their hearts, we felt. And I think it really, and this is no surprise coming from Nikita, it really connects strongly with its audience. I've enjoyed Nikita's poems on the internet, for instance, but also included them in a few anthologies that I've compiled. So here's Nikita to read from These Are the Words.
Hello. It's such an absolute delight to be here, and it's such an honor to be shortlisted along with these amazing poets. I've really enjoyed listening to all of your readings, so thank you so much. I wrote These Are the Words basically to be the big sister that I never had when I was growing up. These Are the Words is a collection for teenagers, because I've always felt quite strongly that teenagers should have collections of poetry which are all about growing up and feeling really big things for the very first time. The poem I'm going to read is from right from the beginning of the collection, and it's a poem which is called On the First Wave of Summer. Too old for scraped knees and playgrounds and running after ice cream trucks, but still young enough to sit on the docks, feet just touching the icy cold water. Strawberries, ice lollies, and sticky fingers. This is a litany of crushes and hopeful probabilities. Welcome to almost womanhood and a summer of possibilities. Thank you so much.
Nikita, thank you. I mean, that again, I think we've just had some wonderful readings. So I think now it's really over to you, Charlotte, to thank the shortlisted poets for joining us.
Thank you, Chris. My name's Charlotte, and I have the pleasure of working at CLP, but also being another one of the judges on the judging panel. And I'd just like to say thank you to all of our shortlisted poets for joining us for today's celebration. I think if you're in a classroom, you can give us a round of applause. The poets can all see you in your classrooms, and that would be lovely to celebrate their shortlisting. The journey doesn't end there, though. This is just the start of the CLiPPA process with the announcement of the shortlist. And as you can hopefully see, and as you've heard from the poets performing, there is literally a book in that shortlist for every age group. And this is where we'd like to hand over to you in your schools. We would like you now, your teachers have all signed you up for the CLiPPA shadowing scheme. And that means you can all look at these collections in your classroom. You can start to engage with more of the poems from the tasters that the poets have given you this afternoon. And what you can also do is to engage in the CLiPPA experience, because there is a competition that goes with the shadowing scheme as well. And it's all about the performance going over to you. So your teachers can download some free teaching notes to look at these books in your classrooms. You can watch videos of the poets performing their poems on the CLP website, but then it goes over to you. We'd like you to choose poems that you really like from inside these 5 fantastic collections, and we'd like you to decide how you want to perform them. You might want to perform one by yourself, you might want to perform one with a friend, you might want to perform one in a group, and you're going to get your teachers to record videos of you performing those poems. And if you submit your entry to the judges by the 15th of June, we will watch all of those videos, and for each one of those books on the shortlist we will choose a winning performance. And if your school's performance is the winning performance for that book, you will get poetry prizes, the biggest of which is to join the poets on the stage at the National Theatre in London. And you'll be able to recreate your performance on stage next to one of these 5 fantastic shortlisted performers. And that is a really great celebration of children's poetry, and there will be an audience full of schools and children. Teachers, if you're signed up for the shadowing scheme, you can apply for tickets for your class to join us on the day as well, and that will be on the 10th of July at the National Theatre in London. So to close the event, it's over to you, teachers. Make sure you keep up to date with the shadowing emails that will be sent out to you. Download the free teaching sequences when that email comes, use the collections in your classroom, and encourage your children to enter the school shadowing scheme for the chance of winning that fantastic prize. The last person I have to thank today is our fantastic Chair of Judges, Chris Riddell, who has been a glorious host for this afternoon, introducing us to those 5 fabulous poets and those 5 fabulous collections. We really hope you're going to enjoy these in your classrooms and in your homes, and we look forward very much to receiving your shadowing school performance entries. Thank you, everyone. I hope that's been a lovely poetry break to your day, and maybe you'll spend the rest of the afternoon engaging in some poetry as well. Thank you so much, everyone. We hope you've enjoyed that event.